Alright, let's talk about the Roger Corman produced Humanoids from the Deep from 1980. This is the Patron request from Justin Smith. Thank you very much for giving me a reason to check this out again. Saw it for the first time last year. Saw it twice for my 1980 ranking, and this made my top 10 of 1980 horror movies at like number 4 or 5. So I really liked it on my last watch and my first watch. And on my third watch, nothing's changed. I still really enjoy it. It's just a blast. It's very quick paced. It's only 80 minutes long, and it's just so cheesy and fun. And so, yeah, this was, like I said, produced by Roger Corman. This was directed by a woman who, after seeing the movie back in the day, she realized that Roger Corman went and hired someone to add a bunch of, sex and nudity and, basically all the fun stuff we see in this movie is because of him. I'm not sure what the picture would have looked like if it was just her vision. So thankfully, Roger Corman did what he did. Like a lot of the gore and stuff apparently came from him. Like he took like a lot of character moments out and replaced it with all the goodness we get with all this, sex, nudity, and gore. And she was so disgusted that she wanted her name off of the movie, but he was gonna, you know, she had to pay to do that or something. So she was like, okay, fuck it. I guess I won't take my name off of it. It's all on IMDb. I thought it was really interesting. But so she had to keep her name on the project, even though she didn't like it. But now she said in a recent interview, I guess, that she thinks the movie's actually kind of fun with all this new stuff in it. So it doesn't bug her as much. And it even bugged back then the main actress in this movie. She was disgusted by all the shit that was put in afterwards. But I'm thankful for all that shit they put in here because that's what makes it so fun. So, positives for Humanoids from the Deep is in the first 5 minutes of this movie, we get a kid dying, like this 10-year-old kid thrown in the water, being eaten alive, terrifying death, and then like half a dozen dogs are just butchered on a dock. So this movie just goes for it. There's all kinds of dead dogs, a dead kid, and that shit always is a good thing to me because you never see it that much in horror movies. Kids and pets, unless it's a Michael Myers movie, they're usually safe. But in this movie, they establish that nobody's safe from the first 5 minutes. Like, anyone can die. So later on in the movie, when there's like a toddler walking around, because of what we saw in the opening 5 minutes, I was like, this toddler could die. They could kill a kid. Who knows? So it kind of raises the stakes. And this movie, even though it's a monster movie, like a creature feature, it's also like a slasher movie. It has slasher POV, and this is just very much of the times. This came out in 1980. Friday the 13th just came out. Halloween. Everyone was trying to make slasher movies. There was a lot of POV being done back then, and this one has POV stalking from the monsters, and I just really like that. And the score is very psycho influenced. It has, like the shower scene, it has that kind of like music whenever there's like attack scenes going on. So I really thought that was just funny. I really liked the score. And this one has plenty of nudity sprinkled throughout. Beautiful ladies. Miss Salmon at the festival shows it all. And the rape scenes, I'm not a big fan of like, rape movies, like the rape revenge movies that just linger on it for like 30 minutes. Like the whole first act of a rape revenge movie is just them lingering on someone getting brutalized for like 30 minutes straight. That shit's hard to watch. In this one, they don't linger on it. Like when these creatures rape women, it's like 5 seconds at best. It's just like they hop on them, you know what's happening, it's just implied, and then it cuts away. So I didn't need to see these creatures fucking these women. I didn't need to see it. So I'm glad they didn't just, linger on that crap. And, it's not so mean-spirited. But also the effects in this movie, awesome. I read that Rob Bottin from The Thing, The Howling, I heard he had a hand helping out in this movie, but I didn't see his name in the credits, so I'm not sure if he was even involved at all. Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought I remember reading somewhere else that he helped out with the look of the creatures, and I like the look. I like that, they're mutated, so their brains are like huge, they're becoming more human, and that, that's why they're attracted to the women, and they're fucking. This movie's about creatures fucking and raping women, really. And so, yeah, I just really like the look of these creatures and the gore effects later on. There's plenty of it in the third act, especially, and it just looks absolutely fantastic. So I love the gore effects and the creature look. It's just, yeah, they look cheesy, like men in suits, but like just the detail of like the slime and the seaweed hanging off of them. It's fun. And this movie's got a very silly, very alien inspired ending, and it's very gruesome, but I love it. It's just a nice, thing at the end that just puts a smile on your face right before the credits roll. You're like, that's awesome. And it's, like I said, it's very short. It's only 80 minutes long. It just gets going. There's some downtime. There's some drama and tension between characters. There's like a whole subplot with like this cannery being opened up. There's like a racist character played by Vic Morrow. There's some downtime. It might slow down for some, but like it's only 80 minutes. It gets going. And the carnage at the festival, the whole third act, that's what really elevates the movie for me. Because if that didn't happen, yeah, there's some good scenes here and there in the first two acts, but the third act is where the tension, you know, not really tension, but like the carnage is elevated. It's increased. There's a lot more in the third act. Everyone's just running around, and heads are getting torn off. There's not really tension in this movie. I wasn't really scared or anything. It's so silly. So you can't be scared watching this movie. If you're watching this movie hoping for like good suspense and tension and like you're worrying about people, like you're not gonna get that. And so, but it's just fun. It's very silly, very fun. It takes itself seriously, but the premise and the look of the creatures is so bonkers and dumb that you just can't help but laugh at it. It's a B movie. It's entertaining. And that's what I watch movies for, is to be entertained, and this movie succeeds. It's very entertaining, fast, gory, beautiful ladies. What's not to like about it? And anything else? As for any like dislikes, I will say that the acting is pretty bad from some people. But again, with a movie like this, I'm not looking for Oscar performances. But the acting, I can't help but point out, is bad from some of these people. It's bad. Like sound design too. Like when people are punching each other, it's the same sound. I love the old school like punching sound effect, and that fight scene in the parking lot cracks me up. And there's some day for night shooting, so the cinematography is not that great, and the direction's not that great. And there's looped screaming in the last 15 minutes. That's very noticeable. Like they recorded 5 seconds of two girls screaming, and then they just play it again and again. It's not as annoying as Return of the Living Dead 2 is. That was just really annoying, but yeah, I can't help but notice that there's looped screaming for like 15 minutes at the end. But if you don't notice it, it won't bug you. But now that I pointed it out, it might bug you. And the whole subplot with like the Native American and Vic Morrow, it just feels unnecessary by the end, because the movie is really about this scientist and the experiments, bad side effects, and it's caused like they're trying to make the salmon grow bigger and make more of them so to help out this local community. But that has nothing to do with the cannery. I don't think they're just talking about some food place opening up. But then by the end of the movie, there's no like resolution to that. Like there's no moment between Vic Morrow's character and the Native American. They don't really patch things up, and they never talk about the cannery at the end of the movie. Like, is it still going to open up? I don't know. Like, is it even necessary? Did I miss something? Like, I just feel like all that's just there for filler. It's just like we need some drama and some tension between these characters, some fighting going on, just to add something here. We can't just have it be scene after scene with monsters attacking people and raping them. So yeah, I just feel like the whole cannery subplot was just kind of filler. Is it necessary? I don't know. I didn't think so. And the characters overall aren't really all that fantastic. They're not terrible, but they're just really not all that entertaining on screen. They're just whatever. So final thoughts: if you like, B horror movies, Roger Corman films, just blood and tits and just creatures tearing people apart, you're gonna get that in this movie. It's very fun. You can't take it too seriously. It's not really scary, and it's not supposed to be really a comedy, but it's just one of those kind of so bad that they're good movies, and I really enjoy it. So it's a recommend for me. When it comes to Humanoids from the Deep, this is just a very quick paced creature feature that I recommend you go out and buy. Alright, spoiler discussion. In the opening, we got the typical, like, Jaws POV shot of the monster in the water. It opens up just like Jaws, and the title card says monster instead of humanoids from the deep. So this movie has two titles. And there's a one-legged seagull for some reason. I just thought that was interesting. And, like, they just found a one-legged seagull on set, and they're like, let's show that. And the kid gets killed, and the boat explodes, very Jaws 2. And then there's all kinds of dogs getting killed. There's a dog that we see getting strangled by the monster. And then there's a cat scare. Like, it comes out of the doghouse. But why is it that every time a cat shows up in a horror movie, they're always making noises? They don't just show up. Like, when they dart out of something, they're screaming or, meowing. Meow. Like, my cat would never do that. My cat would just be there, and they don't make noises all the time. But in horror movies, they always have to make that noise when they enter the frame. Just they have to scream and meow or whatever. And so there was an interesting sound effect in this movie. There's a coat hanger, and when the woman grabs it, it sounds just like a sword coming out of a sheath. Like, I feel like I was watching Halloween Resurrection again with all the ching sounds in that movie. It's weird. So yeah, a hanger made that sound. And so someone kills this Native American's dog, and then they start, because they think he killed all their dogs, and his is the only dog that was left alive for some reason. I'm not sure why the monsters decided to spare his dog. It was almost as if the monsters were trying to set him up. And so they have this big fight outside the, dance that's going on. And this one guy opens up his door window, sticks his head out, like, what's going on out here? And he just gets randomly punched right in the face for sticking his head out. That cracked me up. That's just hilarious. And then, that couple later on, they're at the beach, and you can see it looked like there was something around the guy's ankle that was pulling him away. But what was funny was when he gets pulled away, his girlfriend, her reaction is priceless. Like, there's like no reaction. She slowly like turns around and looks behind her like she's confused. Like, do you think somebody behind you pulled him in that? She's looking in the opposite direction. That makes no sense. Like, she goes, huh? And then she's like, Tommy or whatever his name is, like, where'd you go? Like, he just got pulled away in front of you. She acts like she was like, she didn't see him get dragged away. Like, she looked away for 1 second and then he was gone. No, she saw him get dragged away, and now she's just like, huh, did someone behind me do that? Like, watch it again. It looks like she's looking behind her, and then she's like barely confused, like it's a prank or something. He clearly got dragged away, and that effect on his face looks pretty cool. His face gets like torn off, and then she gets raped, and they find her body later on, and the scientist lady, she just keeps snapping pictures of her naked body. It's like, you already took a photo. Why she keeps snapping more and more photos? It's like, if I was that girl, I would be mad. Like, hey, can you please stop taking pictures of my naked raped body? I was just, sexually assaulted by sea creatures, and you're just snapping multiple photos of my tits. Like, stop. And then my favorite scene in this movie is when the couple is in a tent on the beach, and this guy's putting on a ventriloquist show for his girlfriend as she strips down naked. And somehow this nerd got her and thinks that, because she's a beautiful lady, somehow this nerd has a shot with her, and he thinks that this little show is going to turn her on. And I guess it's working. And, the dialogue here is pretty funny, but what cracks me up is as soon as they get attacked, the dummy that's on the ground, its eyes start moving on its own, as if the dummy is a sentient living thing. Like, it's moving on its own. It's like a weird supernatural moment in the movie. It's the dummy reacting to what's going on. Like, oh shit! Like, it's like, what the fuck is going on? The dummy is living. It's controlling its own eyes and moving around. Like, and then the lady, she gets, again, raped. So there's a lot of rape in this movie, but it doesn't linger on it. So then the racist, he goes to the Native American's place, and he's willing to just blow up his house and possibly kill the guy just because he opposes the cannery. I guess the cannery is that important. that he's willing to blow up his place. That's extreme, very extreme. And I like that the girl, she slams on the brakes of her truck because that's what you should do when someone's like attacking you and they're on the bed of your truck or they're on top of the hood. I don't know. More people should do this in horror movies. They don't do it enough. But she slams on the brakes and the creature goes flying off, and then she runs over it. But then when the second creature starts attacking her, she panics and she just keeps swerving the car and then drives off a cliff. Like, slam on the brakes again. Slam on the brakes, put it in park, and then try to leave the car if you can. If slamming the brakes isn't gonna like make him fly off and free you from his grip, then you should just put the car in park so that there's no chance of you doing what happens, falling off of like a bridge or a cliff. So that kind of bugged me, but it's a stupid movie. A fun, stupid movie. And so after all that, Susan, I already talked about how she keeps snapping photos of the naked body. I just thought that was funny. And so instead of, they shoot a few of these creatures, they have their bodies as proof, but instead of immediately going to the town and warning everybody about what's going to possibly happen later that night at the festival, the attack, instead of warning them and showing them what they found, they first go do an autopsy and try to learn as much as they can about these things they just found and discovered, and then do like a whole slideshow presentation showing you like the evolution of how they became what they are. Like we got like it's the exposition scene, like we find out like how they were created and why. It's like I get it, but it's like, dude, this should be later. Like we need to go warn the town that these things are nearby and that they see us as threats and they're gonna try to kill us and rape the women. Like we need to go warn the town. It's like this oh shit moment instead where it's like hours later they're like, oh shit, maybe we should go warn the town. It's like, you think? Maybe you should have did that hours ago, when you first found these things and knew that they really were there, that they existed, They just wait so long. And I love that the DJ, he just keeps commentating on what's going on. Like it's a football game, like, you're never gonna believe what I'm seeing, folks. Oh my god, it's mayhem. Oh my gosh, this person just got their head ripped off. It's crazy, y'all. I'm still here. I don't know why I'm still here. He just keeps talking about what's going on in front of him instead of just fucking leaving. He's just dedicated to staying on air until he's dead. That was just very funny to me. And we get more boobs. Just this chick running towards the camera, her boobs just bouncing everywhere. Very sleazy. And I love that these guys gang up on one of the creatures. They don't just keep running away. They all like grab sticks and shit and they're like beating the crap out of one of them. And then there's like a dead guy on a carousel. So like you see a creature hop on the carousel that's still going and attack one of them. So in this whole scene is when the loop screaming is happening that I talked about earlier. And that head being ripped off was clearly fake, but I love that it's here. That's just awesome. And we get some more stalking at the one girl's house, the girl from the Prowler. And she like stabs the shit out of one of the monsters to the point where there's like a big old hole in the chest and the heart's exposed. Very gory shit right there. Love it. And it seems like everyone's just running around in circles. No one's like, you would think that it would be easy to escape this dock area and just get to your cars and leave. But when you really look at like the wide shots of this place, there's people running in circles. They don't know where to go. It's like, just go, just go to your car. They're just like, I'm going this way, and this person's going that way. It's like they're just running in circles around each other instead of just going in one direction towards the street where all the cars are and just getting the fuck out of there. The Vic Morrow guy, I don't know how he was able to go around. It's like how he wasn't able to like just pick up that girl. Like, was her arm that short? I feel like he could have just grabbed her, but whatever. But I do like that because it's like a redeeming moment for him. Instead of just making him like this one-note racist the entire time, it shows that he does care about some people. He's willing to sacrifice his life to rescue this child. If she was a Native American child, would he have tried to save her? I mean, he seems to really hate Native Americans, but he saves the girl, so it's this redeeming moment, and then it just cuts to the end credits scene here, or before the credits, it's like a month later. I don't know if it said how many months later it is, but I'm not sure. But she's like, it looks like she's 9 months pregnant, and she's giving birth to the creature, but instead of coming out like a normal baby would, it goes right through her belly, just like an alien's, just stabbing right through her belly button, and it's just fucking gory. And I'm just wondering, why is she keeping the baby? Like, wouldn't they have figured out long ago that it was not a normal baby inside of her? Maybe give her an abortion? It's a great effect, though. I mean, I don't understand the scene why she would keep the baby, knowing that it's more than likely from the monster that raped her, but it's a great effect, and I like that it's here. So that is the end of Humanoids from the Deep. What are your thoughts on this movie? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like what you've seen here, you can hit this like button and become a subscriber today just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And remember, it's just an opinion. You don't need to get butthurt about it.